The Galaxy S6 Edge was a game changer for Samsung, switching from plastics to glass and metal, competing with the best in its class as it was priced for the past few generations. Here are my thoughts on buying and using the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge as your daily a few years down the line. The biggest issue with these old Samsung devices is the software and the difficulty installing custom software to kind of resurrect it, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. The S6 Edge did come out in April of 2017, so as a recording of this video, it's just over 2 years old and can be found on eBay for around £200. The sleek design of the S6 Edge is one that has aged really well in my opinion. It's a petite and small phone with curved glass and metal rails. It's got a flat back, yet it does seem to fit in the hand rather well. I think the curved design has come a long way, especially on the S7 Edge and even more so on the S8, but the S6 definitely has a great design. The use of these premium materials means that you want to put a skin or case on it. Funnily enough, I made a video on that, so check that out in the video description. Joe, who owns the S6 Edge featured in this video, has cracked the phone to heck, and it's not looking pretty, so please be careful about these materials. The screen on this bad boy is pretty sharp, 577 pixels per inch sharp. The 5.1 inch QHD Super AMOLED display is amazing, purely put. It's got the great black levels and contrast and nicely oversaturated color profile that I really like from Samsung panels. A lot of people don't, they prefer IPS, they prefer standard colors, but I really like this poppy nature. It's a little small for my taste, but the actual display itself is fantastic. The Edge features are nice but not essential, and I don't really use them too much on my S7 Edge, apart from the really cool clock that you use at night, which is awesome. The camera on this phone was impressive, and it still is. It's a 16 megapixel sensor with f1.9 glass and optical image stabilization, which is nice to see in a slightly smaller phone. That's a pretty good spec sheet to boot. It shoots UHD video at 30fps and 720p video at 120fps, so not crazy slow, but it's definitely good enough. The higher than average megapixel count will give you a really nice amount of croppability, and the f1.9 aperture will give you nice bokeh. The camera holds up and isn't half bad for a 2-year-old phone. It was one of the best when it came out, and it's pretty good now, holding up to some of the best in its class. Unfortunately though, you won't be able to capture huge amounts due to the fact there isn't any expandable storage. The secondary shooter is one I like. It's a 5 megapixel sensor with f1.9 glass again, but that glass is wide, and I really do like the wide angle lenses on these kinds of phones, these Samsung phones, because you do get a lot of people in selfies and you don't crop anyone out, and you're able to shoot 1440p video at 30fps. It's a bit of an odd resolution, but there you go. This phone in the performance department is really solid, with 3GB of RAM and the 8-core Exynos 7420 in-house system on a chip, which gives you fantastic base performance. The in-house chip seems to compete pretty well with the Snapdragon version, so that's great, and it should last for a few more years yet, depending on playing games, watching videos, all that kind of thing. It should work pretty well. The real issue though is the longevity in the software. Talking of the software, it's not great. We have Samsung's TouchWiz on top of 7.0 Nougat if you've got the OTA update, which is subjectively a good looking skin, but I don't really like the functionality of it. I'm not a huge fan of it, and I really do like the stock software experience, which I wish you could have on here, and you can if you are ballsy enough to install it. Also, TouchWiz really tends to bug out after a few years, and this is why Samsung phones tend to fail after a few years, but if you can get a custom ROM on there, then that would be super awesome, and it would basically negate this problem. The battery life on this thing isn't great, as it's a 2600 mAh battery mixed with the pretty bad TouchWiz software, which means battery life isn't amazing, but it will do. About 3 hours screen on time is kind of good, but considering it's got to power a QHD display and octa-core processor, 2600 mAh just isn't enough really. You can get a battery back if you're really lucky, but they're kind of hard to find considering this is an Edge class device. The speaker on this is slightly better than the newer S7 Edge, as the bottom firing unit gets a little bit louder on here and seems a little bit clearer, and I believe this is just because of the waterproofing on the S7, but it's still a bottom firing unit, so it's not the best. The ports on this device are micro B and 3.5mm, which is a nice selection to have, and you do get wireless charging, which is super cool. The fingerprint scanner is a pretty solid unit on this device, with a front firing home button / fingerprint scanner combo flanked by 2 capacitive buttons. The scanner still holds up and is a really nice feature to have in a 2-year-old phone, and I definitely recommend it for this. Unfortunately, this is an oddball in terms of microSD expansion, because there was microSD expansion in the previous phones and then the phones after it as well. So this is just a really weird odd one out. Overall, if you can get past the software, this phone is a solid choice in 2017 because you get a great build quality, excellent camera, and a gorgeous screen, all for an affordable price. A great choice. Thanks again guys for watching this video. Please do leave a like on it if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, and tell me in the comments your thoughts on the S6 Edge. Is it a good phone? Is it a bad phone? Please do let me know. Please do subscribe if you're new around here, and I will see you in the next video. Mine has been Ryan Thomas with Failtech, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.